Hi, welcome back to Afkinto. My name is Jay. Today I'm going to talk about SharePoint Slider WebPart package. A slider package with the features whatever required to deploy completely through automated fashion rather than uploading any files manually. Today we'll create a slider WebPart and upload all its required artifacts. It could be JavaScript or it could be CSS or a list, which is a SharePoint list, and a slider web part. And we will tell what are the dependencies between the features. Once the package is done, we are going to publish the package as a slider WSP, slider.WSP, and we deploy the WSP using PowerShell and install it and then enable the feature. Let's talk about the web part, which we are going to do today. And if you go to this site, it's a jssor.com. I got the content from here, all the JavaScript files and CSS, and I just download this slider. Once you download the slider, you'll have a folder like this with all the required files here. And if I just open this file, and it is actually working as expected. And if you notice, we have a previous and next button, and it shows the number of the squares, which are the number of items. When we click on that, it will take us to that item. So we want to automate the complete slider as a SharePoint reusable web part and deploy in PowerShell. Okay, let's break this into small pieces, how we are going to construct a reusable SharePoint slider web part. Let's start with a project for our slider web part. And I'm choosing SharePoint 2013 empty project. Let's name this project as slider, and the rest of the settings I'm leaving as it is. Taking this as a form solution. I'm selecting this as a form solution. Okay, if we break down our steps, what we are going to do, the first step I want to target is uploading JavaScript files and CSS. What I'm talking about is the image slider, which I downloaded from this site. And if I see here, these are the images which are already available in the download, and these are the JS files, JavaScript files. We could use a minified or whatever suits for our situation. Maybe I will just go with the JavaScript, the jQuery file, and the debug, the first two files. And these two files are to be uploaded into the SharePoint, or we need to use but in our situation, let me add into the package so that will deploy in a document library in SharePoint. And do we have any CSS? We don't have any CSS, but we have image files. I will do the same for that as well. Okay, let me create a module. and let me name this as slider files. We could name it whatever suits for our requirement. We could name it as style library or style artifacts or styles, but as it is going to have images and JavaScripts, I just want to name it as slider files. There will be a sample.txt which will be already added to the elements.xml. Let me zoom that. So this is sample.txt and this is in the elements.xml. Each module will have its own elements.xml file, and the module name is slider files. This is what we named. And here we can specify where it is going to go. I'm keeping URL equal to style library, which is out of the box library, which we already have. We can have a custom document library also. We can name that document library. I want to add existing item. This is where my JavaScript files, and when I added here, they're automatically added into this elements.xml file. I'd like to do the same for the images as well. I added all the images. These are the images. To keep it clean, we could say images here, and here we could say JavaScript files. Let me test only this feature, slider files. Before I do that, I just want to clean up this feature name, and that's it. And let me deploy this. I just want to test one by one as I go on working instead of testing all in one. First I want to build this one, slider files, and next the list, and the last the web part. Now let's go into site contents and look into style library, and we do have a slider files folder here. Awesome. We have all the images and the JavaScript files. Just now, if you see the green thingy, that means it's just created. It's all new. So it's step one is done. We already uploaded files, and next step is to create a list. Now let's create a new item which is called list, and let's name it as slider list, and it's a custom list. That's what I want to do. So we should know what are the columns we are going to have. So the first column, I just want to rename the title to caption. It only changes the display name. And next I want to have the image. For image I want to use out of the box publishing feature. So image, this is called page image and the type is publishing page image, and I want to change this. This is only a display name. I want to change this to image. And next I want to have a is active column, so which specifies if that item is active or not. I want to make it boolean. And display order, so this tells the order of the display, and I want this to be a choice. And if I go to choice, and these are the items which we can specify. I want to hard code it. And that's pretty much it. This is the list. We'll have a caption here, and this will be image and is active, and display order. Is active is to tell the item is active or not, and display order, we could get the items in a particular order based on this. Okay, now we have in the same feature we got the slider instance as well, and let's test this. Slider, I'm just renaming it files, and slider files and list. So this gives the meaningful name. Just giving a description as well. And I want to change the scope to site collection. Let's do the redeploying. Now this test is to make sure that it creates the list. If you see here, it is, we have a list created, slider list, but it has no data. And if you see, these are the columns which we just added. And in the next step, what I want to do is I want to add the contents as well. Rather than doing it manually, I want to add a sample content in the list. Let's do that one as well from Visual Studio. So we need to go to the list instance tag and instead of typing, I just got some code here in my notepad. I copy pasted. I had to change a few things. Slider files here, and first one active, first one display order 1, and the caption is this is first column title, which we changed the display name as caption, and this is the second column publishing page image, but the display name is image and the type is publishing page image, and it expects a image tag, HTML image tag, but here we need to encode them. So this is all less than angular brackets here, and these are all encoded. And this is actually, it's a boolean 0 or 1. I kept all as true, which is 1, and display order is the first item is 1 and the second item is 2, and it's so on till we have 6. Let me remove the list. Let me remove the list whatever created and redeploy it. I want to redeploy the solution so that now my expectation is this time it should create a list with the content. Okay, here it shows 6 items. I need to make sure that the data is showing up correctly. There is a problem here. Image is not showing up correctly. And if I edit this item, let's see what could be wrong. Style library. There is expecting it to be directly here. Okay, now I know what's the mistake which I made. Let me go back and fix that. So before I fix it, let me delete this list as well. And recreate it. And here I just want to remove this extra image path. Okay, now it's done. Let me redeploy this. And now let's go and see the slider list. Awesome. And this is exactly what I'm expecting. Images, caption, and the order. Okay, as of now, we have files and we have the list populated automatically, and then now we have a feature to create the necessary files, copy the necessary files into a style library, and we have another list with a sample data referring the sample images which are in style library. So now the third step is to create a web part. Let me select this and SliderWebPart. And in this web part, what I'm going to do is I have to bring this whole HTML into my code. Somehow I need to bring all this HTML into my code. So for that I don't really bring this header tags and HTML. I will take only, not even the body tags. I will take the scripts and the styles, whatever required, and this div, and the rest we don't need it. Okay, rather than typing everything now, I'm just going to copy paste. I copy pasted the whole code here. Let me explain about all the functions. This is the override method which comes by default, and here I'm adding a literal control, and this get carousel is the function which brings the HTML whatever present here. At this function it's going to a list name. List name is taken from a property. This function, it checks if it has a list existing in the web. If it's not, then it is showing a header message saying that please provide existing list name in banner properties. If the list exists, then it's appending this get.js. What get.js does is it returns all the JS required. And here it should be slider files. Slider files. And here it's referring to, we should make sure that this is debug. We can use min as well, but as I have taken only debug while copying the files. Okay, the rest is I copy pasted from here the whole stuff. From this you can download the complete code from here. This is the site I got. And here is JavaScript function which returns, so here is get.js, just brings the JavaScript. I just broke down the HTML into 3 parts. One is JavaScript, another one is CSS. The second line here is it brings CSS, and what it does is it just brings CSS. And another thing, if we have used any images here, we should make sure that it's pointing to the right place. And I'm just checking if we have. This is get CSS. Next one is get slides. This code is, this HTML code is actually this piece of code. You can get it downloading. Okay, I want to, these list items in the carousel list item or slider list items, I want to keep them dynamic. That means I want to get it from a list item rather than hard coding. That's the main point here. So let me change something here. Slider files, this is good. And here I have a placeholder, slides placeholder, and the rest is the same as that. And this slides placeholder slides here. And when I say slides placeholder, it's just a string inside this, and I'm replacing with get slides HTML. This is the main function, which is looping through the list and getting items. And if you see here, it has a camel query and it is looking for name is active and looking for only which are equal to 1, means we're getting items which are active. And the next thing is order by. We want to get items in the display order, and we are getting items. And here we're actually getting a template here. We have all the code here, and I got a default list set to sliders list, and so this is the main function which gets the JavaScript, CSS and the HTML, and each carousel item is built dynamically with the help of this function. This is the function. And this function gets the URL out of a publishing image column. This is the HTML whatever we have, but only the slides, the carousel items are replaced and placed in this, and all the code is in from the site whatever I downloaded. So that's why I'm not really typing in front of you every line. Okay, now when I added this web part, it's already added into the feature. Instead of that, let me keep this web part feature in a different feature. Slider, call it SliderWebPart. This is SliderWebPart, and come here, and I'm removing this web part from this feature and adding to this feature. See, it doesn't appear here. The reason, as this feature scope is web and the web part is not appearing here, because web part needs to be site collection scope, then only we can deploy. Now when I change the scope to site collection, the web part appeared. Now I want to keep this and this. Web part for slider, and here we can say as a dependency, if we want, we can say maybe the slider files are dependent. And that's it actually. Now let's deploy through a PowerShell. So far we are deploying with the help of Visual Studio. Instead of that, okay, now I want to delete the list and the files and I want to do a clean deployment from PowerShell. List is deleted, and let's go into the style library. And slider files. Delete this one also. Now it's good. Now I retract so that it will retract the web part as well. So it deactivated and retracted solution. That looks good. Let me publish this just to make sure. We'll use this page for our testing, so I call it a slider. And then PowerShell as administrator, and the file is at slider USB. Copy the complete path, ISP solution hyphen literal path. So if you see, it is deployed. Sorry, it's not deployed, it's added, and you see it is false here. So we need to install. Identity. We can use either name or solution ID. And we want to do the GAG deployment, then hyphen the application as slider. And let's go and see site settings. All are at the site collection, because the scope which we mentioned is site at the feature. So let's go and see the site collection. As we just install the solution, it takes a while to warm up. Control F, slider. So these two. So first we need to enable this one. We can enable either with PowerShell or with from here UI. I will enable one. I mean, maybe we'll do it both at using PowerShell. Okay. Enable SP feature identity. Let me enable this first and see what happens. The web part. Okay. URL, it's asking for a site collection. And let's see what's this. And it says it has a dependency on slider file. So what it is telling is first to enable this feature and then enable this feature. Okay, so let me enable slider files. Everything is same except I'm changing the ID. And if you see here, slider files and list, this is enabled. And if we go see the site contents, we should find slider list is created. And if we see the style library, even style library should have slider files a minute ago, if you see. So all are created as expected, and this is all there as expected. Now enable the feature with this GUID, which is SliderWebPart. Now we enable this one. Let's go to our test page slider. Web part. As we didn't specify any group to our web part, it should be obviously in our custom folder, custom category. Categories are here, and that are web part. And it is coming by default. If you see our properties, and this is the default, and this is all good. But to make sure that our query is working as expected, we should go and check. And this is a title. I'm not really worried about this for now. We can remove it or we can change this title. And now my interest is to go to edit this. And make few disable. Maybe the first two birds I want to make it inactive so that this should not appear. Let's see that if I can do item by item. Yes, I'm able to do that. Well, let's try again. I'm saying is active, it is set well, and I want to change the order. This one I want to set it to order 1. This is all done, and all I wanted to check here, there should be 2 items missing, and the last item, whatever is a tree hill, should come to the first when I refresh the page. And here we have 6. Now it's reduced to 4, and the first item is tree hill. So our query is working as we expected, and these are all the 4 items. If I enable one more item, means make active, is active, check, and now I should see this item down back, and it should have 5 items here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and second item is done. That is all. If we recap, this is what we clubbed this both. We club both of these features into one, and this one is a separate feature. Thank you.